This is a CNIB Lake Joe at Home program. CNIB Lake Joe at Home logo, image description, an illustration of a marshmallow roasting in a campfire with a roof in the background.
Alrighty, hi everyone, it's been a while. So to start, I feel like most of you are probably familiar with how Goalball works, but if there's anybody who isn't, it's essentially teams of 3 competing against each other, and there's a ball with a bell in it that's kind of rolled back and forth. I like to compare it to bowling. You're bowling with people. And then there's a net that is the whole length of the backcourt that you're trying to score in. And the goal is to get the ball past the people and into the net. And people kind of go on their knees and hands and kind of lay on their sides to protect the ball from going into the net. Can get very aggressive. So I started playing goalball in grade 6, and the way that I got involved was essentially I had a very passionate teacher who really liked phys ed. And so every morning we had like an hour and a half block where we had essentially like our gym period, but we didn't do typical things in a gym class. We did a lot of like workouts and physical activity as opposed to like, let's play dodgeball, because my teacher had the understanding that, yeah, that's not great for everybody, especially me. And so I had this teacher who went out of their way, brought CNIB into our gym class and taught the entire class how to play goalball for me, which I thought was a really neat opportunity. And he even got funding to actually buy some of the goalball equipment, like the ball and some eye shades, so that we could all play. And I thought that was so neat. And this was my first time that I had ever heard about goalball. And then I actually had this teacher again in grade 8, so got a little bit more exposure there. And then this teacher is actually since retired, so I was given the equipment that he had funded, and I took that and I went to my high school and I started teaching it to other people at lunch. So I went and I started teaching it to other people at lunch at my high school and getting some people involved. And the thing that I love about it is that anybody can play, even if you're not visually impaired, because everybody wears eye shades and it kind of puts everybody on the same playing field, which I love. So I was teaching it in high school, and then I went to a short-term program at W. Ross Macdonald School, which most of you are familiar with. And we did a themed workshop that was on goalball. And a part of this was we put together teams who each played at provincials. So we had, I think, 3 or 4 teams of athletes who essentially none of us had ever played before. And we got the opportunity to compete against other, I think, youth teams. There was kind of an open league with more competitives going on, but we got to play in the youth league and put some teams in, which was really neat. And this was the first time I had ever actually competed in a goalball tournament, which was neat. And then from there, I actually got scouted by one of the coaches who were there, and they said, hey, you're really good. Would you consider joining our national program? And I was like, well, seeing as how this is my first goalball competition, I'm not sure that I am qualified to do that. And so basically from there, I got to attend a couple different camps, training camps and high performance camps, kind of across Ontario, that really got me prepared for junior nationals, where I played on Team Ontario. And essentially we just worked on skills like throwing, blocking, all of the things that I needed to know. And I got to work with some of the people that I was going to be playing with, which was new. So I was actually playing with people who I had never met before, which is a really hard thing to do, to work so well as a team when you don't know the people. So then I went on to play nationals for junior nationals for Team Ontario, which is the under 21 league. Yes, I'm a youngin'. And we actually placed bronze. So I got 1 goalball medal under my belt. And then from there, I actually continued training. So that was before my time at W. Ross. So then I went to W. Ross for a little bit and got the opportunity to train on a more regular basis with the men's team for junior nationals. So I got to train alongside some of the guys and get more practice in and learn more technical aspects of the game. Yeah, so I have played against other teams, provincial teams. I've also had the opportunity to train with some of the athletes who went to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Which I think is pretty neat. So I've actually trained kind of alongside them. I've seen how they play. I've seen how they train. Let me tell you, it's really intense. Maybe I'll get to that level one day, but who knows? So I've gotten to see kind of the behind the scenes, which is really neat. My first impression of the game was always that, wow, this is an accessible sport for me. Like I said, at grade 6, I had never seen anything like this before. So it was really this opportunity for accessible sport, and was one of my first adaptive sport experiences. So it kind of put me on the path to doing sports specifically for blind and visually impaired individuals. And then I actually went on to do tandem cycling for a bit. I've also been really good at orientation a lot of the time. So I found it really easy to adapt to wearing something like eye shades for the majority of the game, and kind of navigating that environment. So I was told that I picked that up pretty easily. In terms of the things that I really like about the game, even playing field is one of them. Like I said, everybody wears the same eye shades, and you know that everybody is at the same pace. And so that was really, I really enjoy that aspect of it, and kind of the community that it brings with it, and the people that you get to meet because of it. And the idea that anybody can play, like I said, even my sighted high school peers. The only thing that I think is a disadvantage to this game is that there's not a lot of people who play it. So, I mean, I haven't been able to play, obviously, Goalball in the last year and a half because of the pandemic, and because it's such a contact sport, and I'm not necessarily in an area where it's offered. But on top of that, we don't have a lot of teams that actually run, because it is such a, it's not a very involved sport. There's not a lot of people who play it. We actually really struggled to put together a team for junior nationals. We almost didn't have enough players, because it's just so hard to find people who fit into that category, who want to play, and who are able. So actually the youngest person on my team was 12, and the oldest person was 21 at that top age range. So we were really stretching our limits. So it can be really hard to find people to play with, to train with, and having clubs. So you have to really be in a specific area. But I think it should be brought into a lot more areas across the province.
One, it's Stella.
Hi, Stella.
Hey,
I
Stella.
wanted to say hi to everyone. Yeah, Emily is a total rock star, and she was amazing at Goalball. So
I had to learn it from
definitely.
somewhere.
Aw. No, it was so much fun. So much fun. Yeah. So I started playing in 2016 when I attended the W. Ross McDonald School for the Visually Impaired in Brantford. It was something that was very new. So for me, I started to lose my sight around that age and that year. So I was looking for a lot of outlets, like coping outlets. And for me, getting up and busy and moving around, that really helps me. So I was trying to keep very busy. And so I took on a lot of sports, and one of them was goalball. And I absolutely loved it. It was a great experience, because living in the residence, I got to play goalball after school. I got to stay for practices, and I was really inspired by Emma Ranke, who's a Paralympian, and the team and the girls, and I was really inspired by them, and I thought, oh, I want to do that too. And so I worked really, really hard, and I attended their practices, and they really kind of took me under their wing and helped me out. And I was at that point, after a year, I was actually competing and playing with Emma and a couple other girls who got to represent Canada. So that was a really neat experience. And I got to be part of the Ontario Provincials championship, where I actually got to go to Calgary, and that was amazing. So yeah, no, I started with goalball. It was my first parasport ever that I've played, and I really enjoyed it. But that's also to say I've played other parasports. So I've played goalball at first, and then I moved, I tried swimming, Paris swimming, and then I also did para cycling. So that was like my biggest sport, where I was very involved in, and probably the most involved in would be paracycling. So that was very cool. But yeah, so I got to play with Emily as well, and I guess be her coach. I will take a bit of credit. Yeah. Believe it or not, for me, the toughest part about goalball was overcoming. So I wouldn't be lying if I said I wasn't nervous having to play the sport. So the sport itself kind of made me nervous at first because, well, I didn't quite know how to play, and you're basically getting a ball, a goal ball, and you're catching it with your body. Basically, you're defending it with your body. And so for me, it was understanding, okay, I've got the proper equipment, the ball will not hurt me, I will be okay. So I was a little bit nervous playing at first because it's a little, I don't know, I was a little nervous at first, but I quickly got over my fear, and I was able to enjoy the sport. Yeah. When people are playing goalball, because everyone is blindfolded and they have to rely on the ball, right? The goal ball who has bells in them, and they have to locate the sound, right? So would you think that it would be wise for a lot of people to talk in the audience, or like, what do you think? Do you think it would be really quiet in the audience, in the stands? Do you think it'd be like a baseball game or a basketball game? Probably not. So you're correct. So everyone has to be very, very quiet during a goalball game. And the reason for that is because the players who are playing really need to concentrate and be able to locate and listen to the ball. And so a fun fact is that, let's say, okay, Amy decides to come and watch me play goalball because she's so supportive. And I'm playing, I'm on the court, and all of a sudden Amy, who's with another friend, starts talking, and it's a little bit destructive because people can hear her. Well, what would happen is that someone would stop the game and they would say noise violation, and then my team could actually have a penalty because my best friend Amy decided to talk in the stands. So so it's really important that when you do go and watch a goalball game, that you stay very, very quiet. So that's kind of something new that perhaps you didn't know. Yeah. There are special pants that goalball players wear, and it has padding on the legs. It's kind of like almost as if you were wearing hockey pants, if anyone's ever played hockey. But yeah, so goalball has its own very special pair of pants that you put on. There's padding. You have your knee pads, your elbow pads. Something that I would always wear are wrist guards, just because when I would be sliding, I would sometimes, scratch up, like kind of like almost like a rug burn. So that wouldn't be fun. But also I would wear something in my mouth. So like a mouth guard. Yeah, I would wear a mouth guard because I'm going to be honest with you guys. So between you and I, the Paralympian Emma Rinke kind of got me. She she may have thrown the ball accidentally at my face, and it's a good thing I was wearing a mouth guard because I did get hurt a little bit. But it was, you know what? It was a total accident. We were just, that's what you get for playing with the Paralympian guys. So that was no fun. But what I'm trying to say is that having a mouth guard to make sure that you're protecting your teeth is important. And as well as for men and women, you actually wear a type of guard to protect your lower abdomen. So yeah, so you're definitely well protected, as well as women will wear a chest plate. So when you're fencing, right, it's the same kind of plate, and that's just to make sure that when the ball does hit, right, because it, like, again, you wouldn't be playing with Paralympians, so it wouldn't be that bad. But still, it can still kind of hurt sometimes when you get a ball to your body, because that's what you're doing, is you're protecting, you're playing the goalie, and the way that you grab the ball is by having it hit your body and you protect it. So yeah, So a lot of protective equipment kind of goes into play, and it's for everyone's safety.
To learn more about CNIB Lake Joe at-home programs, visit CNIBLakeJoe.ca.